Hey, you've caught me in my craft room in front of the camera today. I wanted to show you guys a little fun thing I'm doing with some of my Bible art that I printed from the Print and Pray shop at Illustrated Faith. I loved one of the sets. It was patches, you know, like good old Girl Scout, Cub Scout patches. Aren't those the cutest? That looks pretty real, like it's sewn on, right? So I thought to make it even more convincing, it would be fun to take it through a sewing machine and add some actual stitches to it. First, I'll show you how I sewed just straight stitch, which is the same technique as doing a zigzag stitch. I'll just show you how I did that right here on this piece, and then I'll show you how to put a collage together without pins because I didn't want extra holes. All you need to know is how to sew a straight line, and you need to have an inexpensive sewing machine. This is a Target special on clearance sewing machine. Don't use your really nice seamstress tailoring dressmaking machine for paper. One, it'll dull your needles, so you'll go through needles faster, and then you won't want to use those needles on fabric. Please don't. And then two, you can run the risk of getting little chunks of paper fibers that get pushed down because you're really kind of punching micro holes through your paper, and so that dust from the micro holes might collect and kind of jam up your sewing machine. So if you have an expensive sewing machine, don't do this. If you have an old sewing machine that you're not using for anything else, or you want to just get a little hobby machine like this, that's the way to go. I will also do a video tutorial on hand stitching coming up soon, because I came up with some ideas this afternoon on how to hand stitch on paper, and that'll work for those of you who don't want to use a machine or don't have a machine. So stay tuned for that video too, but that'll be separate. So here I'm just going to start a straight stitch, and these are really short little lines. So when I get into the corner, I just hand crank it over here with the hand crank. I leave the needle in the paper, I pivot it on that corner to go for the next straight line. And if you want to do a zigzag stitch, just set it to zigzag and do the same exact thing. Pivot on each corner with the needle in, and that'll create your kind of one continuous line around the project. Now, you can either stop here, or you could go around again so that you have a little bit more texture. I'm going to go around again just because I already showed you what it looks like with one layer of texture. So I'm going to just go around maybe 2 or 3 times, and it just kind of adds to the fun, kind of messy, sloppy look. Like I love it because it kind of looks like your mom tried really hard to sew on your patches because she loves you, but she didn't know what she was doing. So it's kind of God bless her heart, you know. I kind of like it that way. Talk about grace, right? Oh. How many of you have had to sew on patches for sports or scouts or different things? I always hand sewed them because I felt like I had better control, but boy, I took a lot of time doing that because I wanted it to look just perfect for my kiddos. And I'm not usually a perfectionist, but that one felt like kind of a big deal. So I think it's also kind of fun for me to be cheating on these little patches and making them kind of sloppy, because I can kind of just do it my way. And if you like it more neat and tidy, you can do that too. What's cool is you can pick what stitch you like, what size of stitch you like. If you like zigzag, if you have a machine with fun different stitches on it, you could do that. If you've got a machine that does embroidery, although again, be careful because this is paper and it will be different than using fabric. But well, you could do a lot of things. But mine's just, I pretty much have, I think I have a straight stitch, zigzag. Oh, it looks like I might have some kind of Kirby stitch I haven't even tried before. I don't know. I'm just going for a straight stitch today. And then just like you would with clothing, just cut the threads. You could leave some of the threads poking out, which I think would kind of create some of the messy fun look of it. I've cut all the others, but maybe this one I'll leave the threads because I went around 3 times it gave it a little bit more dimension and just a little bit more of the messiness. So here's a straight stitch with white thread 3 times. Here's a navy blue 1 time. Here's a white thread with a zigzag stitch, just so you can get different ideas of what this looks like. Now let's sew a little collage together without using pins. So you're going to want to pick what pieces you want. You could do this with anything too. You could kind of do a quilt style with different squares and stitch them together, or stitch different shapes together. You can add stitching on top of like a stamped image or a paper piece that has like a little girl and put some stitches on her dress. There are so many things that you can do. Just think of it as kind of an extra embellishing tool, and then you can kind of go from there. All right, so let's see. I think I want to put this pumpkin with, let's put it with Amen, and let's do Thankful for Rest, because I like these different colors all mixed together. So then you just arrange them how you want, and I'm going to start with just 2 hexagons. And what I've done is I've overlapped them just a teeny bit, and I'm going to just hold them that way. So in the front you can see how they're overlapped just a little bit on their kind of hand-drawn sewing lines. So then I'm going to place it carefully down here, and I'm going to zigzag these together, 1 because it's cute, and 2 because it actually holds the 2 pages together really well. And I'm going to zigzag these back and forth about 4 or 5 times, so it's nice and chunky. Oh, I think my thread got messed up. Yeah, that does not look good. You guys, sewing machines are the bane of my existence. I tell you, I don't know why I actually put up with them, because they always argue with me. I don't know what it is. It took 1.5 years of sewing back in high school. I know how to sew, but machines don't like me. So, I'd be curious in the comments of what kind of things you're thinking of stitching on, like in non-traditional ways. So like not on fabrics, but stitching on other things. I'd love to hear what your ideas are, because you'll come up with things that I'd never thought of, I'm sure, and then we all have the benefit of learning from each other. Okay, there we go. So then when I get to the end of this, instead of pivoting, I'm going to crank out the last couple of stitches. There, I'm at the end. I'm going to hit my backward stitch and backwards zigzag all the way back up to the top. And again, I'm not being really careful about this, making sure it's in a straight line or anything like that, because remember, I like messy sewing. Alright, one more back. Okay, so then the next trick is to leave it connected to the thread on the plate here and add in your extra piece. So I think I'm gonna do this one a little bit in a different shape. So I'm gonna put the Amen in up top here. I'm going to pivot my project where I want to sew next. Put the foot down and hold it together and zigzag it through. And if you don't worry about getting a perfect look, then little mess ups and little misalignments don't matter. They just add character. We'll call it character. I actually really like it. Okay, now I'm back to this corner, and I was going to stitch the other side of the Amen patch. And this one I got to start out going backwards. So just go backwards and then forward a few times, backward, forward, so we get some nice chunky looking stitches here. So now I'm actually going to raise my needle up. I'm back to where I started, and now without even cutting the thread, I'm going to just pivot this, take my seam over just a tiny bit, and start stitching the seams that look like that look like this. So I want each patch to have a seam like that too. So this, I'm going to switch my sewing machine back to a straight line, and we're just going to go from where we are right here. And again, you could go around these patches once, you could go around them a bunch of times, you could zigzag this part too. Totally up to you. Pick different colors of thread. I just find changing out bobbins to be annoying, and thread, so I just decided I'd do all the dark ones first, and then I ran out of thread anyway, and then I did all the ones I wanted to do with light colored thread. And so I just, bobbins drive me crazy. I don't know what the deal is. Okay, so now we're at another corner, so we're just going to go up the side of the Amen patch here so it can get its little interior straight stitching. Oh, and it's really nice and messy. Okay, now I'm not going to finish the bottom of the Amen. I'm at this point right here. But if I go down and back up to finish it, I'll be on the other side of where I need to be. So I'm just going to move on to the pumpkin patch. The pumpkin patch. Here, let's see if you can see it without the light. I'm going to move on and stitch around the pumpkin patch, which will bring me right up to here, and then I can finish off the Amen. So does that make sense? Actually, I'm going to pivot one more time on the Amen and then go down to the pumpkin. So you're just trying to keep it as easy as you want for yourself, and I figure as long as I'm already sewing a straight line, I might as well just keep the lines going where I don't have to cut thread or take them in a whole new direction or something like that. I'm really looking for the easy road here because this is paper. I'm not making a prom dress, right? This is for fun, and to me, getting too picky about this kind of stuff drives me crazy. Well, I like to cheat, so that'll be my confession of the day here on YouTube. I had an awesome sewing teacher in high school, but she made us do things absolutely perfectly, and it drove me insane. So I was just like, if you can't see this hook from the outside of your clothes, why does it have to be perfect? And what is still wrong with it? Oh, I even cried one time. She made me take a hook out 6 times. You're getting like story time today. All right, now I can go back up the other side of the Amen, and then I'll take it off the machine and show you what it looks like. I'm gonna do a little back stitch, just a little bit, to knot it off. Okay, I just think these collage ones are so stinking cute, and I think people will be like, oh my gosh, especially people who don't know how to sew, they'll be like, how did you do that? That looks so cute. And with these patches or anything that you want to make kind of look quilted or add stitching to, like I said, dresses or little tablecloths or pillows or letters, it'd be super cute to add stitching to letters. All right, so here we go. Amen. So this is the really heavy zigzag stitch, and remember I just held these 2 pieces together with my hands first, zigzagged them together. Remember I overlapped the paper a little bit. Once I got that done, I added the Amen to the top, held it in place, zigzag, 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 ended up here, then turned and pivoted and zigzag, 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 and then I started here and went around here, straight stitch, all the way around, jumped up to here, straight stitch, down to here, straight stitch, down to the pumpkin and around, and then back to here, and then straight stitch to finish off the Amen. That's it.